Nice. Jennifer gone today?
Yep. And so then Connie's on a beach in Florida.
Good for her.
I got 7:31 on my watch and 7:29 on my computer, so it's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Just do it this way.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending our EDA meeting here at the City Council on Thursday, May 6th, 2021, at 7:31. And so we'll start our meeting. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Jansky, if you do that for us, please.
Johnson. O'Day.
Here.
Bevins.
Here.
Beezer.
Here.
Kirsch.
Here.
And Erickson.
Here. All right, great. Let's have a motion to approve the agenda. Is there any corrections or additions?
I have a question. Is there a reason why we are not talking about the American Rescue Plan?
I can answer that. The reason is we don't have any new information as of yet to fully be able to discuss it. We're still waiting on direction from the Treasury and such.
Okay, so we don't want to start planning for when we do get funds or possible funds?
At this point, what our staff's recommendation has been, wait until we get some direction for the Treasury to know exactly what we can use it for, and then our plan is then being come to the EDA and the City Council and have that discussion.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jansky. Thank you. Good question. Good question. So a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion.
Second.
Second, Beezer.
All in favor? You have to do roll call.
Roll call, yep.
Please.
O'Day,
Yes.
Bevins,
Yes.
Beezer,
Yes.
Kirsch,
Yes.
and Erickson.
Yes, thank you for that. Hope you all got a chance to read the minutes from the April meeting. Need a motion to accept the minutes from the April 1st meeting.
Motion, Beezer.
Second.
All in favor, do roll call, please.
O'Day,
Yes.
Bevins,
Oh,
Kill.
wait.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Beezer,
Yes.
Kirsch,
Yes.
and Erickson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, financial report, Mr. Jansky.
Yep, Finance Director Hillman is on vacation, so we do have the financials as of March 31st in the packet, and she did tell me there's nothing specific to note in the financials.
Any comments or questions from the council?
I had a question on behalf of DDBC. We had submitted a request for the $15,000 for funding the coordinator position. I didn't see that had been executed yet, so I was just gonna see if you guys had received that request and what the status of issuing the check was.
I'll definitely look into that. I know we were waiting on the attorney's opinion just to make sure everything was squared away as to because now DDBC is under Brainerd Restoration and how that actually should be done. I know she finally did give us an opinion on who to write the check to and how that should be done. So I will confirm with Connie about whether on the check for that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jansky, for following up on that. Anything else, Mr. Jansky, on the financial?
Nope, we just need a motion to accept the financial report.
Okay,
A motion.
Second,
I guess we'll have to do a roll call vote.
O'Day,
Yes.
Bevins,
Yes.
Beezer,
Yes.
Kirsch,
yes.
and Erickson.
Yes. Let's do some updates here. David, I guess Jennifer's gone on.
Yep, Jennifer's also out on vacation today, so I'll be handling her report. We do have a number of items for the board today. A little update on the sesquicentennial. The city has died 25 to celebrate the sesquicentennial. 250 banners with the logo will be purchased to be installed on Washington Street, South 6th Street, Mill Avenue, and downtown Brainerd. Take this off. The goal is to have these installed by Memorial Day. In addition, there's also several events that will be held and are already in the planning during that week of September 18th and 25th. On the 18th, Mayor Bedeau will kick off the week with a proclamation. Also on the 18th, the Chamber of Commerce will be holding a time capsule event and community festival. On the 25th, to cap off the weekend, the Brainerd Parks and Recreation Department will be holding a community picnic. And then also throughout the week, with times to be determined, they're looking at having a downtown sidewalk sale and other events downtown during the week, history walk tours, events to be potentially held in the Northern Pacific Center, and then Stage North is looking to hold a production on the history of Brainerd. Other initiatives going on right now is weekly history tidbits in the Brainerd Dispatch on Mondays. This is a partnership with the Dispatch and local historians. The installation of a monument at the crossing to commemorate the beginning of the city and the sesquicentennial, and the sesquicentennial page on the city's website, including calendar, events, history tidbits, etc. So those are all things that are currently in the works. The DDBC is starting our market day, so they have taken over the city's farmers market. We did not hold one in 2020 because of COVID restrictions, but they're taking the lead on it this year. They're calling it Market Day as they intend to have vendors in addition to farmers. They submitted a request to have 7th Street closed between Front and Laurel every Tuesday from 3 to 7 p.m. There did have some concerns from businesses about closing the street down during that time period. So on Monday, the council authorized a trial of two markets on June 8th and June 15th to see how well those go and then reevaluate after that. The city is working with the DDBC and exploring new Christmas lights for downtown Brainerd with a goal of 500,000 lights. The DDBC will be putting together a plan to present to council in the near future. On the American Rescue Plan, Congress passed the new rescue plan a few months ago, $1.9 trillion. We are still waiting on the guidance from the Treasury to determine eligible uses for the funds. We do believe the city should be getting somewhere between $1.5 and $2.5 million, which the city will then have until December 31st of 2024 to spend. Again, we know some of the broad categories that the money can be used for, which is responding to economic impacts of COVID, revenue replacement, investments in water, sewer, and broadband, and providing for workers, providing essential work during the pandemic. Again, as we learned through the CARES Act, there's probably going to be a lot more guidance coming within each of those 4 buckets. What exactly can those monies be spent on? And even once the Treasury does give some guidance that should be coming this month, we anticipate that we'll probably be seeing guidance for the next number of months as they tweak things. The city has started its yearly improvement project. So summer construction officially began on April 26th. It started with the repaving of the Front Street, Laurel Street, Library, and City Hall parking lots, as well as the alleyway on the Laurel Street parking lot. I believe the front, Laurel, and the alley are already finished, and the library and City Hall should be done by the end of next week. Additionally, the improvement project on Northwest 4th Street between Washington and Beaver Dam has started. Northwest 4th was completely shut down on April 26th. The reason for that hard shutdown was to facilitate the construction of a roundabout at the intersection of Northwest 4th and Jackson. It's kind of hard to construct a roundabout if there's still vehicles coming through. City engineer Paul Sandy has given Anderson Brothers Construction a deadline of June 4th, the goal of June 4th to have that roundabout completed so that intersection can be reopened and traffic can resume while the rest of the reconstruction project between Washington and Beaver Dam is completed over the following weeks. Northwest 3rd Street between Jackson Street and James Street will also be reconstructed as part of this project. The Park Board will be holding a groundbreaking ceremony for the Memorial Park Improvement Project. This will be held on Tuesday, May 11th at 3 p.m. And all are invited to attend that. Actually, 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, May 11th for that groundbreaking ceremony. On Monday, the City Council adopted an amendment to the comprehensive plan that updated the land use chapter. of the comprehensive plan to include a new future land use map. The kind of background of the future land use map is really a high level guiding document that looks at how do we want to develop, how do we want to see our community develop in the future. It looks kind of things at a 10,000 foot view, and then below that you would have things like the zoning. This is the actual zoning map that take those elements and put them into actual zoning districts. Also on Monday, the City Council passed a resolution that temporarily eliminates restrictions on the size of outdoor dining areas that serve alcohol until the zoning code update, which is in process, is complete. This came as a recommendation from the Planning Commission, who intends to eliminate restrictions altogether as part of the new zoning code. With COVID, we live in a new world when it comes to dining, and a lot of people are looking for those outdoor dining options. And we see that it's going to be like that in the foreseeable future. And right now, the city's code, when it comes to patios that have alcohol served on them, restrict the size of that patio to 30% of their internal floor space, which really doesn't help a lot of our businesses. And so the Planning Commission reviewed that and recommended we just eliminate that. No other city really has that granular of a restriction. The City Council agreed, so that restriction is lifted until the new zoning code is adopted. The Planning Commission is also currently considering amendments to the city's transient food unit ordinance or food truck ordinance. They have three main changes they're considering. One would be to change operating times to a universal 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Right now, any food truck in the city can't operate until 11 a.m. And in most districts outside of downtown and the MP Center, they would have to end operations by 7 p.m. So it gives a universal 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Allows operations in any commercial and industrial district except B1 districts. Currently, how the ordinance has, we have what we'll call an overlay district where there are certain select areas where they can operate, and this would just say as long as you're in pretty much any commercial or industrial area and you have permission from the property owner to operate on their property, you may do so. The Planning Commission will be holding a public hearing on these proposed amendments during their meeting on Wednesday, May 19th. You may have seen a little banner that went out in front of the old Tim Hortons property. Caribou Coffee has submitted building permit applications to put a drive-through only store at that location, and those permits are currently under review. And the final thing I have for the commission today, Mr. Chair, is Country Manor is in the process of submitting applications for a planned unit development on property they own off Beaver Dam Road. The development will include senior housing, memory care, physical therapy center, and a child care center. The Planning Commission will review this proposed development later this month, and we as staff anticipate that Country Manor will be before the EDA in coming months with a financial assistance request for review. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll take any questions that the Commission has.
Where exactly is the land with Country Manor?
It's directly north of Northtown. They have about 60 acres just north of Northtown, and they'll have access off of Beaver Dam Road.
Okay, so it'll take up all 60 acres?
Not all of it. So they kind of have a phased plan where they're going to kind of do a phased one, which is, I believe, going to be in the $30 to $40 million range, then with future development options going into the future.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the HRA. Tyler. Excuse me. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of updates today, then we'll get John in here to give you an update on rehab. We do continue to make progress on, kind of our procedures and documents for our housing trust fund on the county side. I did present to the committee of the whole on the 20th of April, gave the county board members a little update on where we've been in the last year for our trust fund. Gave them a breakdown of the 4 different programs that we're going to be running out of that. And no questions there. It was a very positive feedback from the commissioners, and you know, I would say kind of validation on where we're going as a trust fund, and very happy about that. We do have 2 applicants that are currently in our pipeline for our rehab program, as we start to try to roll these programs out, and these will be good test subjects to hopefully get some funds from that trust fund out into the community and working for rehab in this instance. Did recently meet with the Brainerd Chamber and the Greater Lakes Association of Realtors as well, just to share, you know, what our agency's been doing, and to collaborate and share, you know, what each of our agencies are doing to help promote and provide housing opportunities in the Brainerd Lakes area. And we sat down for about 2 hours, which was a good coming of the minds, and looking forward to keeping the chamber updated on our progress for the trust fund to help utilize some of their marketing power once we do kind of a broad rollout throughout the county. We also recently had a strategy session with the Pequot Lakes Housing Task Force. We wanted to share some ideas and provide some feedback to them as they assess their current housing stock. Understanding that this is the Brainerd EDA, I still think that countywide, any housing that we can help provide is going to be good, because we do know that we are dealing with a good amount of housing shortage throughout the county. If you guys recall or have seen the housing study that we commissioned in 2020, you know, we are looking at a good amount of housing that is needed in the next 15 years. So we continue to talk with our partners in and around the county to hopefully share ideas and continue to move forward with that. And lastly, we are in the process of helping a contractor acquire a tax forfeited lot in Serene Pines. For the newer commission members, back in 2016, the Brainerd HRA and the Crow Wing County HRA, with the assistance of the county and the city of Brainerd, has entered into a development agreement for Brainerd Oaks, Serene Pines, and Delmar Estates to get a lot of those tax forfeited lots back into productive housing units. And this particular lot in Serene Pines just so happened to not be included in that original deal in 2016 because it had not gone tax forfeit at that time due to some strange technicalities. We are going to be working with the developer now, with the county and with the city, to try to get that into the development agreement so they can get that house or get a house built on that particular parcel and continue to help that tax base. So that'll be a little bit of a lengthy process. Our next steps will be to go to PNF and then get it in front of the city council with Brainerd, and then we'll go back to the Crow Wing County HRA board and then through the county board. So a little bit of a process, but we'll hopefully be able to get that one over to the developer. With that, I would take any questions that you have from me, or I'll turn it over to John.
Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Eric, I have one. How many, maybe just, I don't expect you to know exactly, but how many people are on a waiting list for rental assistance or housing assistance? I mean.
So for kind of our public housing and our HCV, which we Housing Choice Voucher programs, you know, that waiting list varies from month to month between Brainerd and Crosby, who we also administer those programs. I want to say, you know, public housing, our waiting list is down probably in the 40 range, but our Housing Choice Voucher, which is the old Section 8 program, is much higher. Again, that kind of, it varies from month to month, and it varies for when we actually go out and ask for applicants on our waiting list. If it gets too high, we have to shut off that waiting list. So it is a little bit of a moving target month to month. The good thing is we don't ever have difficulty filling those housing units when they do become available. But you know, summertime, we tend to see that waiting list go down a little bit because we do have people that are able to stay outside more, stay in vehicles. So we don't have as many on waiting lists. Wintertime, we see that typically go up.
So Eric, is it a couple hundred or 100?
I'd say at least, you know,
At least
overall.
200 applicants at
Yep.
all times?
Yep,
And then that fluctuates?
it does.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to bring a little bit more refined numbers next month for you guys, just so you can.
It was just curiosity. I
Nope,
wanted
it's a good
people to
question.
hear that there's quite a waiting list is what
There is.
I'm experiencing or hearing. Yeah.
Yep, the need is very real out there for all types of housing.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
John?
Thank you, Chair Erickson, members of the commission. Just a quick rehab update, our small cities grant for Northeast Brainerd. We did have an applicant had submitted rehab for 5 single-family rental rehabs. They did pull 4 of those, so we're back down to looking for single-family rental rehabs in that area. The owner-occupied rehab that we continue to push for as well, we did get an application in that meets the guidelines, so we'll be moving forward on that and set up to go do the initial walkthrough next week. We did start marketing on Facebook as well to try and help get the word out regarding the small cities grants, both here in Northeast and the one we are administering in Emily. So things do continue to move forward there. For the Brainerd Oaks, Serene Pines, Dalmar Estates, the information you actually have in your packet is already outdated. The developer did close on 4 more lots last Friday. And as of this morning, I got an email for 4 more lots, one of those being in Dalmar Estates, 1 in Serene Pines, and 2 more in Oaks. So continuing to move forward on that aspect. The HRA is also submitting an application to the Federal Home Loan Bank. We're anticipating there's a affordable housing program, their AHP program that we've applied for in the past. It's kind of a moving target. It's based, projects get funded based off the applications that come in and they're assigned points. The previous year was down to 58 points. Last year they funded down to like 63 points. We were at 62 point something. So we've been close on that one. We're going to pursue that again. It's due in June. So continue to look for opportunities to help provide safe housing for the residents of not only Brainerd but Crow County. So any questions for me regarding anything on here?
I have one. Is the lumber cost starting to affect anything with construction? That's probably a good question for both of you, but
It's crazy.
not slowing anything down.
Surprisingly, no.
No, from what I'm seeing, it's still if you can get it. Which has eased on some materials, I think maybe you've seen as well. Others, it just remains a little bit tough. The contractors I know of are also so busy that they really don't seem to even have time to look
Right.
elsewhere. They're just trying to manage what's in front of them, so.
Does that cost get passed on to the buyer, or does some of that cost get eaten by the developer?
So the developer, like for in Brainerd Oaks, does what he can to control costs, but I know, for example, when we were visiting last time, some of the styrofoam that they use to insulate the foundations, the compound for drywall taping was, there's actually rumors that it was getting scarce, and I think it had to do with a lot of the polymers that had frozen the plants in Texas. He bought 4 semi-loads of styrofoam, so he had it. I forget how many pallets of drywall compound he had bought to have on hand. I know, so he's trying more to control the supply issue, which can help with costs if he pays for that up there. But it's, you need a crystal ball to have any idea what's going on really at this point. It changes that fast.
Commissioner Day, to add to that question, from the Community Development Department's perspective, pretty much every building permit that's been issued for any of the Brainerd Oaks, Serene Pines, Delmar Estates built projects, or even we see in Northtown, is that those homes are sold before we can even issue the building permit, or even the permit is issued. They've already sold them, versus a year and a half ago where they might apply for the building permit, knowing that the house will sell within before it's completed. But now these houses are sold before the permits are even applied for, submitted.
The developer for Brainerd Oaks and Serene Pines and Dalmar Estates did indicate he's done. The people are being extremely aggressive. So he said his employees are frazzled. He's just gone to, unless he's within 30 days of completion, he said he won't even list it.
Oh.
Because he was had some pre-sales listed.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yep.
it's just unprecedented.
You know, I talked to somebody who works in the heating and air, one of the bigger heating and air companies around here, and they're booked all summer around here too. And according to him, the people that work at the same company in St. Cloud are coming here for work because from their view, people are moving here, not there, which is great. But we'll see how long that continues.
Yeah, yeah. Fortunately, it hasn't seemed to slow anything down. I was concerned when you saw the prices skyrocket, but I haven't seen any indication of things slowing down in the near future, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any comments or questions? Anything else? Thank you. Bladek, Tyler.
Yes, good morning,
morning.
Mr. Chair and Commission. The Allison Medic is here with me today too. She'll make some comments regarding the child care survey that I've supplied for the findings that we supplied for everyone in our report. Some general updates for Bladek, just some items to update the commission on our BRE, which is our business retention and expansion document that we showed last month. We are making some changes to that. That document was pretty daunting, to say the least. But we're making changes to focus on when we're meeting with our businesses around technical assistance. When we found out going through the CARES Act process with our grants, we were getting a lot of feedback regarding businesses and their lack of technology assistance, but also a decent source to go to when they are running into those issues. So it is something that we're looking at as another program potentially inside of Bladek. So we're trying to get some answers to try and nail down what really the issues are. We have a lot of, and I don't mean to discriminate, if you will, but a lot of older business owners that just indicate straight to us that the level of technology, the level of knowledge that they have regarding technology is just not there. So looking for resources to help them, and that's one of the things that we're starting to focus on right now, and we hope to find out more when we're meeting with our businesses regarding that. So it's important for us. So those of you that haven't seen our annual report, I just wanted to highlight that again, that for the first time in our history, we created a digital annual report. It can be found on our website. Allison is 100% responsible for it. It's fantastic. She did a wonderful job with it, but it's for us to make sure that we stay up with what we're trying to do, and it allows us to, I think, get a larger audience by putting it out electronically. So something that's never been done, so we're excited that it's out there. A highlight or an update on our unified fund. So our unified fund, as most of you know, didn't have a lot of activity last year due to COVID. So we brought our board back together. The city of Brainerd has a new representative on our board, which is Tiffany Stenglein. We held a meeting on April 20th. Councilmember Stenglein did attend the meeting. Along with, we have a total of 11 board members on this. Each one of the communities that provided funding that moved their funds, their revolving loan funds, into the unified fund. Each one of those communities and organizations has a seat on our board, so we have 11 board members. With the changes this year, we have 5 new board members, so I felt it was relevant to bring the board back together to get everyone an update. We have confidentiality agreements, conflict of interest agreements that those new board members needed to sign, and to give them a rundown of the guidelines and the process in which we go through to have a loan request and then to process it. So it was a great meeting. As we had to assign a new chair and a new vice chair to our board, which the new chair, the former chair was Mr. Charpentier, and his new role had to step down from our board, but Brad Chapoulis, the city administrator from the city of Brainerd, is the new chair. Our vice chair is Jeremy Millsop, who's the representative from Deerwood. Just as some updates, our outstanding loan balances as of today, or as of the 1st of April, were $504,908. We have, since inception of the program, we have lent out $1.1 million. Total loans funded is 16. And some of the metrics with this program, One of them that we track on a per request basis are the number of jobs that are retained and created through the loans that we're doing. That's one of the application requests. That's one of the questions on the application. So to date, with those 16 loans, 191 jobs have been created and or retained due to the programming funding. So excited about that. The loans to Brainerd businesses, we've had 6 loans for a total of $369,600. One of and I know that Eric and I talked about this when he was chair of the board, but the first loan that we did was September of 2017. To date, we have not had one single late payment, and obviously then we do not have any delinquencies. So I think it's a testament to the underwriting that gets done by the lead lender in these, but also the due diligence of our board to vet these projects. We have had 2 loans that did not get funded when they came across our board or our desk. So it's working as it's designed to work, and as for the new board members here, it's the only program like this that exists in the state regarding use of these types of funds. So it's done what we hoped it was designed to do, and it continues to do that. Now, as of today, I have 2 more loan requests, so it's just exciting to get some new activity. One of the loan requests is for a business that's in unorganized territory. Another one is for a business over in Crosby. So it's good to have some activity. A couple other quick updates. River to Rail. The River to Rail group continues to meet. We meet on a every other month basis. The last meeting was held April 7th. City Administrator Bergman, Community Development Director Chansky, and the HRA Director Eric Charpentier were in attendance. That group continues to be led by Bruce Buxton, one of our retired executives. Bruce does a fantastic job with this and keeps bringing the group back together. We have good representation from the city, so it's nice to get those updates on an every other month basis. And then lastly, before we move on to the childcare, we continue to work on our database and hope to have a completion of the full Brainerd businesses in front of this committee by the end of the summer. So I will move on to the childcare study the work that we did. Bladick led a group of individuals throughout the community. As you can see, the community participants that were included in this as we did this regional study. We initially started this because we understood and we understand that there continues to be a shortage in childcare, not only throughout this region, but certainly throughout the state. But we initially applied for a $10,000 grant that was offered through the Initiative Foundation to lead this program, or to lead this project. We did not take those funds. We did this using our staff time, using our resources, and at the end of this, the $10,000 grant was actually turned over and applied for by the YMCA, so the Y will be able to access this grant from the Initiative Foundation and utilize those funds. So we felt that staff time and moving through this project was the right thing for our organization to do, because we understand that as you look at a lot of things, you look at housing, you look at jobs, all of these things, the third pillar definitely in that is childcare. So if our people can't come to work, they don't have a place to stay, they certainly aren't going to have a place for their kids to go to daycare. So it is a very real issue in the state, but it's a very real issue here locally. So, and that happened, and some of that was impacted through the pandemic. We had, private daycare owners that were closing their doors, and there is a heightened awareness of this now, and we're excited that we were able to lead that. So I will turn it over to Allison. She can just highlight some of the documents that were included with the report. Most importantly, just the findings that we had. So, Allison, I'll turn the mic over.
Thank you. Okay. So it was really important to the committee to get information from our stakeholders, so parents in the community, our business leaders or employers, and also the child care providers, the in-home, and the child care centers. So we offered an opportunity to give a survey. So we had 279 individuals who participated in the parent survey, 37 employers, and 34 providers. And what's really important is we got to hear exactly how they were being impacted. So parents aren't able to take the jobs that they want. They're having to decline promotions. The infant care is especially challenging to find in that availability. On the flip side, for employers, recruiting employees, childcare is a sticking piece for them to be able to have employees come to work. The schedules, there's a lot of pieces that impact that. So as far as the child care centers, the piece of parents want high quality, affordable child care, yet on the flip side, it's very hard to retain employees, to pay employees. We also found that the market rate for fees often does not support a sustainable business model for in-home providers or centers. In that document of the surveys, we found, it also shares 42% or 11 family providers anticipate leaving the field in the next 9 years. So if we want to retain employees, if we want young families to be here, the child care conversation is really important. This document highlights a lot of those pieces, and I think it can be a great resource as we continue those conversations. We're also hearing that there could be additional funding coming down the pipeline, so we should have and use this information to start with creative, to make some creative changes. I thought another piece that was interesting is we did find that businesses are willing to support childcare. Some of the ideas were owning and operating a childcare business, providing space for a childcare business, providing money to employees to use for childcare expenses, creating a flexible schedule for employees, and also providing flexible spending accounts. Do you have any questions at all?
Thank you for that. That's a great need in our community. Comments from the commissioners? Anyone? Questions?
No, my only comment is thank you for doing this research as being, having young children myself and getting on a waiting list. Like as soon as your child is born, you have to get on that waiting list so that you can get in right away. That's a definite need in our community. So.
It was pretty eye-opening. You know, you don't realize it unless you've got kids that are in childcare right now. But you know, I mean, great work to Mike Bierkness and Allison and Megan are part of our team to lead this effort, and the assistance of the First Children's Finance Group as well. So they pulled a lot of this data for us, and so it's good for us to have this. You know, we're gonna make sure that, you know, we keep moving on this as well. So along with some of the efforts that the YMCA is making to address these, but it's a very, very real need. So thank you.
May I ask, if federal funding or state funding, what have you been hearing, or did you hear anything about that?
The Initiative Foundation may eventually have more funding, but we are going to meet July, I think, and just continue those conversations to see what funding might be available, if there are any other projects that might be able to access that. But I don't think there's anything specific yet.
The biggest issue is it's a tough field to get into. I mean, hiring employees, these bigger centers, I mean, it's a best case scenario, it's a $12 to $13 an hour job. So that's the biggest concern. And there is, you know, quite a bit of training that goes into this. There's a lot of effort, but it's the cost to pay a child care provider does not match up with the cost that the parents are paying. So it's a tough field to get into. So like many other areas, there's an employee shortage, and that's probably one of the bigger issues. And there is a lot of federal and state regulations on in-home childcare right now. We have been hearing, I've been reading that they may loosen some of those, but to be perfectly honest, it takes one accident in in-home to those restrictions are going to be heightened, just ramped back up. So until we can get more centers, I don't think this problem. I mean, in January of last year, the state number was that we were 83,000 spots down just in the state of Minnesota. And I don't see that got any better, but it's also, I think I think there's been a blanket pulled over it this last year because a lot of parents are working from home, so it's made it a little bit easier, but it's still a very, very real issue.
Mother's Day is on Sunday. The value of a mother or a dad in the home is trying to train people, trying to pay people to take care of children. Yeah, it's a real, and you're gonna have to get that hourly wage up there to get quality people in there. And you're gonna have to spend the money to train these people that don't have children or haven't been around them or how the center is going to handle situations. And yeah, and the accident, the things that may happen or have happened in the past it's a touchy and a very difficult situation, Makes it hard. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you, Tyler, for taking this project on, and Allison for your work. We gotta keep that before everyone constantly and see what we can do here in the future, and maybe we can be a community that takes on it first class, be the first ones to do something. So, anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Old business, we're ready to move on there. We've lost a secretary treasurer.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So per the EDA's bylaws, the officers of the EDA are elected at their first meeting of the year, every year. Ed Mank was elected as secretary treasurer during the EDA's January 7th meeting. However, with his resignation earlier this year, that position is now vacant. So the EDA should elect a new secretary treasurer to serve the remainder of the 2021 term.
Okay, so do we have nominations?
I'll nominate Tony Beezer.
All right, we have.
Second.
Thank you. So, hearing no other nominations, let's do roll call vote and vote.
Beautiful. Thank you, Danny.
O'Day,
Yes.
Bevins. Okay. You're muted, Kelly, but I saw you say yes, so I'm on it.
Got his mute backwards.
I'll let him mute.
Yes.
Beezer. Kirsch. And Erickson.
Oh, you win. All right.
Excellent.
I'm right in the middle of a.
Thank you so much for taking on that role of secretary treasurer. Appreciate it.
Is someone going to give me some background on how to do?
Yeah, we'll take care of that for you, Tony.
It's a 3-hour meeting. But it goes quickly. New business. Mr. Chansky, you have some information on the authority and powers of the EDA?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So just as a reminder, the EDA has a strategic planning retreat scheduled for Tuesday, May 18th with Bruce Miles. In preparation for that, Jennifer and I thought it would be appropriate to kind of give this this presentation to the EDA again, just kind of as a reminder of what are the authorities and powers of the EDA, kind of as set as a good foundation. We discussed this a little bit at the workshop with the City Council a couple weeks ago. Just want to go through it more thoroughly. Looking at the agenda, we saw it was a little bit of a lighter agenda. We thought it would be a good idea then to just give that presentation to you today, and then maybe we'll do a quick 5-minute recap on the 18th, so that way Bruce can have the maximum of time available to him on the 18th to work with the EDA on strategic planning and setting kind of vision and direction moving forward. So a little bit about EDAs. EDAs, they are authorized by state statute, but they are created by a city. They're governed by state statute 469. It's the same statute that also governs HRAs and port authorities. It states specifically for the creation of an EDA that a city may, by adopting a enabling resolution in compliance with the procedural requirements set forth in later in that section. Establish an economic development authority that has the powers contained in sections 46991, 469-108, and the powers of a housing and redevelopment authority under section 469-001 and 469-047 or other law, and of a city under 469-124 and 469-133 or other law. So they are created by statute and the enabling resolution. However, they are also legal independent governmental entities and can be sued or can sue. Next slide, please, Lori. So a little bit about the Brainerd EDA. Per statute, the Brainerd EDA was created through an enabling resolution. That original enabling resolution, let me take this off, was adopted by the City Council on July 20th of 1987. I believe that was all, I provided that in the packet. In that enabling resolution, the City Council originally served as the commissioners of the EDA. That enabling resolution was amended by the council on August 1st of 1988. I believe that resolution also was in your packet. What this did was change the makeup of the commissioners from being all of the council to 3 members of the council and 4 members of the public. And then this one was not in your packet, but then the enabling resolution was last amended in June 4th of 1990, and that's where you get the current makeup of the EDA, which changed it to 2 members of the city council and then 5 members of the public. But this is per statute by because it says 60 days, and so the 18th is 60 days from the day it was created. Of each year, the EDA shall submit a report to the city council whether the enabling resolution should be modified, and the EDA does do that annually. The officers of the EDA set forth in state statute and then confirmed in the EDA's bylaws are the president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and assistant treasurer. The president, vice president, treasurer, secretary are elected from amongst the commissioners each year during your first meeting as set forth in the Brainerd EDA's bylaws. And per the bylaws, the assistant treasurer is the city finance director. The EDA also has an executive director, which isn't an officer, but a head lead staff member of the EDA. Originally, that was the city planner, but then in the 90s was changed to be the Brainerd City Administrator. Some rules of the EDA, these are set forth in the enabling resolution and are supported again by section 469 of the state statutes. There are a number. The EDA has and may exercise all the powers conferred by law upon a housing and redevelopment authority of the city. So in the absence of an HRA, the EDA could act as an HRA. Obviously, the Brainerd HRA existed before the Brainerd EDA, having been founded in 1966. The EDA has and may exercise all the powers conferred upon the city by the Minnesota State Statute, Chapter 274A, the Municipal District Act. The EDA can sell bonds or other obligations, but must be approved by the city council. The EDA must follow the budget process for city departments in accordance with city policy, ordinance, resolution, and the city charter. Development and redevelopment actions of the EDA must be in conformance with the city comprehensive plan and official controls implementing the comprehensive plan. Next slide, please. A few other rules. The EDA must submit its plans for development and redevelopment to the city council for approval in accordance with city planning procedures and law. And the administrative structure and management practices and policies of the EDA must be approved by the city council. Additionally, the city has the right to transfer control of projects to the EDA. So if the city has a project they're working on, they can transfer that over to the authority of the EDA. And the city council may place any HRA employee under the control of the EDA. I'm expounding those rules into specific powers. Again, these also come directly out of Chapter 469. Things that the EDA can physically do is file financial statements annually and approve them. Again, this is actually also a requirement. The EDA can hire and fire employees and have their own employees. They can contract for services, they can purchase supplies, they can delegate power to agents or employees, can create economic development districts, contract for economic development, can operate a public parking facility, acquire, sell, or condemn property, specifically when it comes to economic development. Also, when it comes specifically to economic development, they can actually exercise the power of eminent domain. EDAs can enter into joint powers agreements with other entities. You often see this often, like HRAs often do this, and the EDAs will sometimes do as well, especially in smaller communities where they cover not just one community but multiple. Again, they can exercise the power of an HRA in the absence of an HRA. Can engage in public relations, develop and improve land to make suitable for development, similar to what the EDA did with the industrial park. Issue general obligation bonds upon approval, city council approval, issue revenue bonds, and operate a revolving loan fund. When it comes to the finances of the EDA, we'll kind of separate this in two buckets. The budget. First, the EDA must send its budget annually to the city council for approval. The budget should be an estimate, shall be an estimate of the money needed during the next fiscal year for the Brainerd EDA. The fiscal year runs January 1 to December 31st. And per the enabling resolution, the EDA must follow the city's budget process. When it comes to the EDA's levy, the EDA may have a tax levy. The city does this on behalf of the EDA, but unlike an HRA, where the city approves their levy, but they are their own levy, the EDA's levy is actually part of the city's general levy. The levy is capped at 0.01813% of the city's estimate market value unless the city council chooses to raise it. So it can be increased on council approval. And generally speaking, for most EDAs, and in case of the Brainerd EDA as well, the levy is its primary source of income. And finally, today, the EDA shall annually provide the City Council with a report describing its activities, receipts, expenditures, and recommendations. We as staff do work with the EDA and generally the chair on that every August in preparation for that presentation in September, along with the EDA's recommendation of whether or not the enabling resolution should be amended. And then the EDA's financial statements must be audited annually. This generally occurs concurrently with the city's annual audit, which is currently ongoing. And with that, I'll take any questions that the commission has.
Anyone have questions or comments? Great job. Good overview. Good. Looking forward to our May 18th meeting. You could probably do a recap there too, real quick.
Yep, the plan is I'll just do a very slight recap, just kind of again setting that foundation for everything that Bruce will be walking through with the commission.
Well, we have a lot more authority than I thought we did.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chansky. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Anything that we'd like to say here before we adjourn?
I think that you had one slide up there that had duties and, duties and something else? You could spend hours going through the points you had on that, different ways to gain funding. As an EDA, we don't have a whole lot of funding to play with right now, but if we came up with the right ideas, the right projects, I think that we'd give reason to add some funding into this EDA.
And I think that's really what Bruce Miles is going to kind of help the commission work through on the 18th, as looking to set kind of vision and strategies and goals for the future, is really kind of pulling out of that list, here are the things you can do. Now, what does the commission want to do? And then how can we then as staff aid the commission in achieving those goals?
I think it's time that this EDA starts to get more aggressive with this kind of thing. So if we can all come with some ideas, get things moving.
Excellent. Good. Anything else? Anyone else have anything?
Have we had any applicants for the vacant position?
I believe there is one that is pending that has been sent to the council for review. I don't know where the status of that. I believe that depending, that's a mayoral appointment, so, I believe if it's satisfactory, Mayor Bordeaux probably will have that on the
Yeah, he
May
was
17th agenda.
he was absent on
Yep.
Monday, so. Right. Yeah, and we still do have one open spot too, so if we want to get somebody, if you guys know of anybody, it'd be nice to have a full EDA at
Yep.
that meeting too.
Well, you said there was one applicant?
So we have one applicant now, and then once that seat is filled, I believe it's Council President Bevan's intention that he will then step down
Okay.
and then filling that
Yeah.
position, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So we really need another one.
Really need two, yep.
Yeah. Friends and neighbors,
Bankers.
bankers, yes, bankers, yeah. Any other comments or questions? Thank you for a good meeting. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Second.
And Mr. Chansky, do the roll call, please.
O'Day,
Yes.
Bevins,
Yes.
Beezer,
Yes.
Kirsch, and Erickson.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Good meeting.